You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Meant something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the mission. Star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the mission. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the roads. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Welcome. Welcome. I'm excited. Book 3. Ascending Beyond Limitations. The only limitation you have is what you see before you, what you feel within you. The unknown is part of you that is something that hasn't been answered yet. But here's the thing. Have you asked the question? Know this, every time you ask, the universe has no recourse but to answer. It's energy waiting for you to ask it to serve you. Ra just wants you to know that. Every entity that has channeled through us wants you to know that the unknown is within you. And all you have to do is ask it to come forward so it can reveal itself to you. It just wants to serve. What question do you want to ask it? How do you want it to make itself known to you? Could it be in more wisdom, more understanding, understanding, better health, more currency in all its forms? All Ra wants you to do is understand that you are the one true creator. Here we are, book 3. Getting ready to tune in and tap in to our authenticity that's been waiting for us to ask about it, to seek it from within. Are you ready? I know I am. Hi, Marcus. Are you ready?
Well, hello, Sandee. And am I ready? Boy, am I ready. But before we go ahead and take off into book 3, I'd like to give everybody a recap and a little rewind of our last episode, the recap of book 1 and 2. So we're going to hop in the time machine, go back to last Wednesday, and see where we left off before we venture into book 3.
In the building. Start season to go in. You know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix.
Have in sending aid to a disaster-stricken or extremely impoverished company. It is the desire to be of service. This is why they are here. They answered a call. Whether it's Hatnon or Ra or Bashir, they answered a call. Earth consciousness made a call, and they've been answering.
This one is the harmonizer, and this, where are we at? So this one creates the torus field, and the qubits, actually, the sacred qubit from this one is the 144 megahertz, and then the bigger one is the 177. So we call this the cosmic wash tub. And what this is, it's a frequency broadcasting device. So this was originally created to clean air pollution, but we found that you can actually put out frequencies into the field and override things like 5G.
Yeshua said to them, when you make the two into one, and when you make the inner like the outer, and when the outer like the inner. Whew. So that was the recap of book 1 and 2, as we explored many beautiful, beautiful figures and souls such as Hitler, Yeshua, Hatnon, and many others. And we were joined by our brother Munas Magica, who is a creator of EMF and free energy devices based off of Tesla technologies and other beautiful things like tensor rings. And before I hand it back over and we dive into book 3, I would like to go ahead and open us up with a beautiful prayer and a beautiful invocation for our great, wonderful sixth density complex, Ra. So if you guys would like to read along with me, if you like, it's at your own free will, of course. We're going to go through the invocation and prayer to Ra as we open this space. So it begins with, O Ra, you God of life, you Lord of love, all men live when you shine. You are the crown king of the gods. The goddess Aset embraces you and enfolds you in all seasons. Those who follow you sing to you with joy, and they bow down their foreheads to the earth in gratitude for your reliant blessings. O Ra, you the King of truth, the Lord of eternity, the Prince of everlastingness, you're sovereign of all gods, you God of life, you creator of eternity, you maker of heaven. All the gods rejoice at your rising. O Ra, you giver of all life. The earth rejoices when it sees your golden rays. People who have been long dead come forward with cries of joy to behold your beauties every day. You go forth each day over heaven and earth. O Ra, God of life, you Lord of love, all men live when you shine. Ashe.
Ashe. Ra wasn't just a god. Ra was an expression of the one true creator, just like you are, just like I am, just like all 8 billion people in this world today. An expression of the one true creator. No good or no bad, just is. And came to this density to feel itself, to see itself, to smell itself, to cry, to laugh, to love, to hate, to make war, to make peace. It's the one true creator seeking itself in all that it is and all that it is not. In this density. It is the infinite possibilities that happen every day. And the divine is seeing it, feeling it, being it, and saying, make no mistake, I am it. It is. And guess what? We have free will to make a choice. You choose to have come here, this moment, this time, to say, I want to hear more. I can't stop at book 2. I want to know a little something more. And you know me, I'm always saying, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Why do I say that? Because one size just does not fit all. You might learn something more from book 3 than you did book 2, and definitely more from book 4 than you did book 1. Yeah, I already mentioned book 4. We got that going on too. Are you ready? Are you ready to dive a little bit deeper? To dive into you? To not stand under, but to go into an understanding. Because that understanding is going to push you out of the way of understanding. It's going to ask, what are you standing under? And is it serving you for your highest and greatest good any longer? Why? Because that's part of shifting and evolving, understanding. Are you ready, Marcus?
I'm definitely ready. I'm ready for takeoff.
Welcome, John Michael. We got everybody coming in. Come on in. Right? Come on in.
Nature Wolf.
Sit with you. Sit with yourself, Nature Wolf. Go inward. Open yourself up and say, what's next for me? Not what's next for John Michael, but what's next for me. Not what's next for Nature Wolf, but what's next for me. Everyone's sitting here. Listen for yourself. Don't worry about what anyone's typing. Just have that me moment. It's okay to have a me moment. Why? Because the divine is me. The divine is the little me. The divine is your ego. Did you get that? See, we separate everything out so that we can make sense of it. And then all of a sudden, you come to a conclusion. When I came to the conclusion that my ego wasn't outside of the divine, for me, it all made sense. For me, I am Ra, and Ra is me. Ra, a 6th density complex entity is me. And I want to learn more about me. So here we go. This is January 15th, 1981. It says, Book 3 of the Law of One is an intensive study of the techniques of balancing of the energies and efficient polarization as our planets make ready for harvest into fourth density. The nature of time/space and space/time is examined. And some of the ramifications of meditation and magic are discussed. A good deal of material about psychic attack and the Orion group is included. And the volume ends with a beginning glance into the archetypal mind. So here we go. May 13th, 1981. Here we go. I am Ra. I greet you in love and in light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. The questioner says, as we begin Book 3 of the Law of One, there are a couple of questions of fairly non-transient importance that I have, and one that I consider to be a transient nature that I feel obligated to ask. The first is clearing up the final point about harvest. I was wondering if there is a supervision over the harvest, and if so, why this supervision is necessary and how it works, since an entity's harvestability is determined by the violet ray. Is it necessary for entities to supervise the harvest, or is it automatic? I am Ra. In time of harvest, there are always harvesters. The fruit is formed as it will be, but there is some supervision necessary to ensure that this bounty is placed as it should be without bruise or blemish. There are those of 3 levels watching over harvest. The first level is planetary, and that which can be called angelic. This type of guardian includes the mind/body/spirit complex totality, or higher self of an entity, and those inner plane entities which have been attracted to these entities through its inner seeking. The second class of those ward this process are those of confederation, who have the honor/duty of standing in small places at the edge of the steps of light/love, so that those entities being harvested will not, take the comma and the pause, no matter how confused or unable to make contact with their higher self, stumble and fall away from any reason or for any reason other than the strength of the light. These confederation entities catch those who stumble and set them aright so that they may continue into the light. The third group watching over this process is the group you call guardians. This group is from the octave above our own and serve in this manner as a bright light bringer. These guardians provide the precision or precise emissions of love light and light love in exquisitely fastidious dissemination of discrimination so that the precise light love vibration of each entity may be ascertained. Thus, the harvest is automatic, and those harvested will, let me slow down. The divine said, even slow my roll, even slower. So I got to say it even slower. This is important, guys. Thus, the harvest is automatic in that those harvested will respond accordingly to that which is unchangeable during harvest. That is the violet ray emanation. However, these helpers are around to ensure the proper harvesting so that each entity may have the full opportunity to express its violet ray selfhood. So no matter what you call them, my angelic beings, my spirit guides, they're around. They're always around, pointing you in a direction. Kind of doing one of these things. Unless they cannot usurp your free will. They cannot usurp your expression as a human being in this dimension. But they come with service to service us, just as energy, but they can't do it unless we say help. And unless we say, come on in, I want to learn a little bit more, guide me. So meanwhile, they're like a mom kind of guiding you, like a little kid walking for the first time. But mommy doesn't put her hands on him. She just kind of holds it there. So when you fall, you barely feel it as you're being lifted up and saying, okay, keep going. Patting you on the butt. Okay, keep going. You can do it. You can do it. They're there in many forms and fashions at different areas of your expressive life that you're choosing. They have different roles to play as you're expressing. Therefore, that old dogma story that you're born alone and you die alone, you're not alone. Not in the story. You get to choose your story. For me, there is a moment that me and my higher being needed this moment in time to go through this what could be illness. How am I going to do it? How am I going to feel it? How am I going to see it? I had to go through those motions of feeling alone, of feeling like I needed somebody to hug me, and there I got a hug. It just wasn't visual. But there's my higher being my spiritual guide saying, I got you. What do you want to do now? Right? I use myself as that example. But my higher beings or my guides or my generational family can't do anything more than I will allow them to do. I have to give them permission, but they're here. Would you like to add anything, Marcus?
Yes. I love this already. Like, wow. What a way to kick off book 3. Wow. So this one I really like because this is something that I've consciously explored quite a bit in this vessel of mine. And I've learned a lot about the halls of the mentee, the weighing of the scale, and then coming to a conscious awareness of like what those depictions are of. And here we are talking about the harvesters right now. And this is a parallel in a way. When you guys look at that most wonderful image, that painting on papyrus that you typically see of Egypt, where it has the scale, Anubis on one side, the goddess Ma on the other side, Thoth is typically there as well, and Horus. And what you see is Anubis is weighing the soul's heart on the scale, and it's being weighed against the lightness of a feather. And the whole point is to see if that soul's heart from their last incarnation is as light as a feather. And if it's as light as a feather, then they ascend to a higher dimensional form. And if it's not as light as a feather, then that means there's still a karmic density tied to their consciousness and their heart. So therefore, in this wonderful evolutionary game that we're in, you then get to pick and choose out of your soul's free will what type of reality or what type of dimensional plane of existence you want to play out your karma and go through your dharma and go through an incarnated walk. So depends in the moment, depends on who you are, all these different factors. You know, this isn't something that we can just be black and white about and just be like, oh, it's this way for every single soul. There's very many infinite possibilities of where you could go next from this life. And part of that depends upon the karmic energy tied to your heart and consciousness. So yeah, we have guardians. We have what we call like gatekeepers that are in alignment perfectly with the divine, which are the law of one. And they help monitor and just make sure that things are going into that balance of accordness. And when we're in this reality or in this existence, it's subject to change, subject to any possibility. So it's never a finite thing where it's like, oh, we're all going to perfectly be on this one track system, and there can never be some type of karmic experience that could happen, or there could be something else, a trauma that happens during your earth life that could create karma in that moment for you. You know, that's the thing, is like we're ever present in the moment beings. So one thing about, I'm not sure if Ra has talked about this, maybe he has in one of the first two books, but part of being in this third dimensional earth plane is knowing that there is, what would be the terminology? I don't want to say like the risk, but there is the awareness that there can be situations and experiences that can cause karmic energy during your stay here on your soul path. And that's part of one of the really living things of being a part of the soul journey, is that we accumulate karma and then we release it into dharma. So the more we become aware of this, we can just consciously navigate, slow it down a little bit, be a little bit more still about what we're doing, and have some conscious awareness. And for me, it just makes sense that there would be different harvesters, quote unquote, because, you know, when you think about how everything is a correspondence and everything's parallel in a way, you know, as above, so below. So, you know, if you have that going on up there in those levels, and then you look at our human life, when we build something and we have multiple jobs or we have multiple roles for that whole entire thing, then what do? We assign people to different positions. So it's a multiplication of what the Creator does, and we just continue to multiply that. So you can study within your own life these type of things, and then you can see that in the above and in the below, there's those things going on as well for different purposes. So I'll hand it back to you.
He was in my head at that moment because I was thinking, I'm going to share with them that life is meant to multiply. Life is energy seeking to create and multiply. And no, I don't mean babies. I don't mean bumping together and making babies. Go forth and multiply. No, I don't mean that. That's the divine just said, I never meant that. It was going to be natural to multiply so that more souls would have opportunity to come and have a expression of wholeness as a form-based being. Yes. But multiply means multiply the expression of being, and let me feel it. The one true creator is saying, let me feel me, be me here in this duality, in this dense place, in this on this scale of higher polarity, lower polarity, and right in the middle. Right? And guess what? This third density, this duality is the only place that we can experience the karmic effect. Fifth density and above, there's no need for karma. That's part of growth and expansion. We grow and we move out of it. We start to move up the ascension ladder of the lightness of growth and expansion. And that's okay. But Ra did mention that we have choices. Our higher beings have choices of choosing whether it wants to come back and experience a karmic effect in this duality. It gets to decide whether it wants to do something to help Earth consciousness. It can get ready to move into the level of the seventh, merging back with the divine. And before it does it, it can say, I gotta go back. There's something I want to do. That's free will for the soul. That's service to others and service to self. Your soul gets to say, let me go back and do it again. It might not come back in a human form, but it might come back in an animal form. It might come back as a tree. It might come back as the consciousness of water. It might come, it's infinite possibilities. It might come back as protons and photons. It gets to have a choice. Our body and our mind aren't the only entities that get to have free will. You ready for more? I'm glad Marcus brought that up. The questioner says, the next question I feel to be a transient type of question. However, it has been asked me by one who I have communicated with, has been involved intensely in the UFO portion of the phenomenon. If you deem it too transient or too unimportant, we will skip it. But I have been asked how it is possible for the craft of the fourth density to get here, since it seems as you approach the velocity of light. The mass approaches infinity. My question would be, why craft would be necessary at all. So basically, let's break it down. The questioner is asking, as far as fourth density is concerned, why is a craft necessary? If you travel faster than the speed of light, why is a craft necessary? Okay, I am Ra. You have asked several questions. We shall respond in turn. Firstly, we agree that this material is transient. Secondly, those for the most part coming from distant points, as you term them, do not need crafts as you know them. The query itself requires understanding which you do not possess. We shall attempt to state what may be stated. Firstly, there is a few third density entities who have learned how to use crafts to travel between star systems while experiencing the limitations you now understand. However, such entities have learned to use hydrogen in a way different from your understanding now. These entities still take quite long durations of time as you measure it. Still takes quite a long time to move about, based on our definition of time. Right? However, such entities have learned to use hydrogen in a different way from your understanding. The divine wanted you to hear that again. These entities are able to use hypothermia to slow the physical and mental complex processes in order to withstand the duration of flight. Those such as are from Sirius are of this type. There are two other types. One is the type which, coming from the fourth, fifth, and sixth density in your own galaxy, has access to a type of energy system which uses the speed of light as a slingshot, thus arrives where it wishes without perceptible time elapsed in your view. The other type of experience is that of fourth, fifth, and sixth density of other galaxies, and some within your own galaxy, which have learned the necessary disciplines of personality to view the universe as one being, and therefore are able to proceed from locus, L-O-C-U-S, to locus, L-O-C-U-S, by thought alone, materializing the necessity craft, if you will, to enclose the light body of the entity. So there's many ways for beings to move through these, what we call galaxies. We as human beings, because we have simple thought, and when I say simple thought, doesn't mean that we're dumb people. We just have a limited view. When you expand your view, when you tap into infinite possibilities, then there's a plethora of ways to travel in galaxies, in dimensions. Back to you, Marcus.
So I also wanted to bring up something that I'm sure some of us that are viewing it, whether it's live now or in some other time. some of us are aware that, in these individual selves of ours, some of us are at the vibration and the role of being a quote unquote harvester or guardian of this third dimensional realm. And those of you out there that are aware of that, shout out to you. I see you. Because we're doing some beautiful grid work, activating some ley lines, and helping people heal, helping people, have this knowledge accessible to them in very efficient and easy ways. And I just want to thank you to each and every one of you out there that are serving the law of one and came into this third dimension. I know there's some pretty wild rides that comes with it and some forgetfulness, but we're here and we're doing beautiful things. And just keep up the work. You're being seen, you're supported in all planes, and just know that you're loved. You are very much, very much loved. So it sounds like we're talking about mentalism a little bit, the law of mentalism, which is that all is mental and that everything is subject to change through our mental vibration. And when we can remember that, I was talking about the Hermetics yesterday, actually, this last night on my podcast. And, when we can remember that everything is mental and that we live in a mentalism universe, then it can really dissolve a lot of those barriers that we place on ourselves, such as limitations or boxes or those feelings of being trapped and stuck. When we can remember the law of mentalism, which is that everything is mental and can be subject to change through our mental vibration, then we are in a space where we're that alchemist, or we are in that eternal empowerment, knowing that, yes, although I may be feeling this injury right now, or I may be feeling this pain, or I may be feeling a little blocked up, it doesn't mean I'm subject to stay this way due to my mentalism. Through my mentalism, the power of my mind, I'm able to direct and guide my emotions, energy and motion, and direct my physical body as well. Due to this is where the law of correspondence comes in. The law of correspondence talks about how the higher laws have higher domain over the lower laws. Now, this isn't saying that one's better than the other. It's saying that when we are living by the higher laws of the universe, those lower laws are a part of that, and the higher laws are even more. It's a more expanded version of those lower laws that allows you to be able to access more to work with energetically. So when we are able to be in that state of mentalism, knowing that we're able to alter or alchemize or shift out of a vibration that we're currently in, that right there is the beautiful gift, or one of the beautiful gifts that we have in this individualness, is the capability of changing our vibration no matter what we're going through. We don't have to be stuck. We can choose to believe we're stuck and then experience that. But if we don't, we are allowed to shift our vibration and be able to be, rebirthed, clean slate, start over basically and reset. But it's only up to you. You got to choose that for yourself, and you got to command it for your own self. And that's the beauty of figuring out your own power. Back to you.
I really love this. It's when I was reading, guys, Divine Design, which I started reading it earlier, maybe about 2 months 2 months ago. And I'm trying to figure out my time schedule, because I'm going to finish reading it again. And I'm going to do it on Instagram and hopefully on YouTube as well. I was blown away because it was telling us how we can be in this third density in this body, and how we don't have to, we're not at the mercy of dying and then doing this again until we ascend to the seventh level, which is to merge back with the divine. That every time we shift, we get to be a part of what we were before, seeing it through a new shift and growing and expanding, right? And in the divine design, it said, if you hold 80% energy in fourth density, you will now have access to third density, and you'll be able to see and be in fourth density and still be accessing information from third density. You just get to see it a different way. Well, according to Ra, we've already shifted. Earth consciousness shifted into 4D. And then according to the divine design, Earth consciousness shifted again into 5D. And when she shifts, we shift. Like the song, when you move, I move. Just like that. So now we get to shift again into 5D. You hold 80% of the energy of 5D, and now you can access 4D and 3D. It's just a consciousness. That's all Ra is saying. You get to grow and expand. We humans are the only one that have to say that actually say, oh, that's going to take 300,000 years to do that. And we must, or we can. You don't must do anything. You don't have to do anything. But if you'd like to break it down and say, well, okay, so maybe it's not going to take me 3,000 years. Maybe I can do. Maybe I can shift and expand and do it all in this body. All I've got to do is go inward, sit at the seat of my soul, or whatever you want to call your higher being, and ask it a question. Ask your higher self a question. What do you want to do now? How do we get from there to here? Because maybe you don't need a ship at all to go where you need to go from dimension to dimension. Right? So the questioner says, let's see where we were. Here we go. The questioner says, I assume that the latter type is the type we experience with the landings of the Orion group. Is this correct? I am Ra. The Orion group is mixed between the I've never seen this word before. I'm going to spell it. Penultimate, Pimomate, and the latter groups. I'll have to look that one up. Sometimes you come across a word It's never been in my vocabulary. At least it's never been in the human side of me. It might be part of my higher being. Let's ask Marcus to look that word up for us. The questioner says, why is a vehicle necessary for the transition? When you, as Ra, went to Egypt earlier, you used a bell-shaped craft, but you did this by thought. Can you tell me why you used a vehicle rather than just materializing the body? I am Ra. The vehicle or the craft is that thought form upon which our concentration may function as motivator. We would not choose to use our mind, body, spirit complexes as the focus of such a working. The questioner. First, Marcus, were you able to look that word up? Do you need me to spell it again? Penultimate.
How do you spell that word?
It's Penultimate. I bet you it's a scientific word.
Can you spell it one more time?
Okay, one more time. Here we go. Penultimate.
Okay. I see nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
So maybe that's a word that Ross shared with us. That's their word. All right. So I'm going to have to go sit and go inward to my higher being so I can get that word, man. Ooh, okay. Let's keep going. I'm just saying that was a unique word, okay? But what Ra is saying is Ra said that they used the bell-shaped craft because they didn't bother using their body, mind, soul or spirit complex energy to materialize. Why? They didn't need to. They came in the fashion that was most effective for their highest and greatest good of the service to all. How they chose to come. Just kind of like when you get in the car and instead of walking to work, you decide you want to drive. Instead of exerting all that energy to walk, 10 blocks, you rather drive 10 blocks. I had a person ask me when I was driving back and forth to work why I always drove to work, right? Instead of going to the there's a place where you can drive, park your car, and then ride a shuttle into work. Why I didn't do that? It just made more sense for her to do that because she didn't want wear and tear on her car. And I told her I bought the car to use. I bought my car so that I could use it. So that when I got off work, I could get in the comfort of my car, turn on my record play, my radio or cassette player, or at that time, whatever it was, and enjoy my ride home. Why utilize my energy and pay extra for a carpool bus when I'm already paying for a car note? That's what I told her. This is what Ra is saying. Why should we, exert that energy when we could move in and out of dimensions using our vehicle that we created, right? The questioner says, "Thank you. It seems to me, and you can tell me where I am going wrong with this statement, that we have 7 bodies, each corresponding to one of the 7 colors of the spectrum, and that energy that creates these 7 bodies is a universal type of energy that streams into our planetary environment and comes in through the 7 energy centers that we have called chakras to develop and perfect these bodies. Each of these bodies is somehow related to the mental configuration that we have. The perfection of these bodies and the total in-streaming of this energy is a function of this mental configuration. And through this mental configuration, we may block to some extent the in-streaming of energy that created these 7 bodies. Could you comment on where I am wrong and correct which I have stated?" I am Ra. Your statement is substantially correct. To use the term mental configuration is to oversimplify the manners of blockage of the in-streaming which occur in your density. The mind complex has a relationship to the spirit and body complexes, which is not fixed. Thus, blockages may occur betwixt, I like that word, betwixt spirit and mind, or body and mind, upon many different levels. We reiterate that each energy center has 7 subcolors, let us say for convenience. Thus, spiritual mental blockages combined with mental body blockages may affect each of the energy centers in several differing ways. Thus, you may see the subtle nature of balancing an evolutionary process. Back to you, Marcus. I know this is right up your alley. Chakras.
Back to me. Uh-oh. So before we go into the chakras, because I'm definitely excited about that, and also the bodies that they're talking about, that's going to be a cool add. So we've talked about the chakras in the first 2 books, but we haven't talked about the bodies. Now that will be fun. I'll pull up a diagram here in a moment. If you don't mind, what was that first section of this last read? There was something that stood out to me, but I forgot it, and I wanted to touch on it a little bit.
The first section of this last read?
Yeah.
Let's see. The questioner asked, there are a couple of questions of fairly non-transient importance that I have, and one I consider to be a transient nature. First is clearing up the final point that was it about harvest? One of the
No, I think it was
harvest.
about harvest.
Okay. Next was let's see. The next question was about UFOs.
I think it's after that one.
Okay, and then the next question was, I assume, talking about, it was about the, let's see, the transitions of the Orion group.
Okay, I guess it's just not meant to be right now.
Okay.
Thank you, though. So anyhow, I'll show you guys a little bit about.
Maybe it was the introduction talking about that they would be talking about psychic attacks and meditation and magic.
Oh, no. This was from this very last section that you read from.
Oh, the very last section. Okay.
Yeah. Right before you passed it over to me,
Okay.
there was a section that you read right before that, and then you went again this last time.
Okay, so let's see. You have asked several questions. We respond in turn. Firstly, we agree that this material is transient. Secondly, those for the most part coming in from distant points, as you term them, do not need crafts as you know them. The query itself requires understanding which you do not possess. We shall attempt to state that what may be stated. Firstly, there is a few third density entities who have learned how to use crafts to travel between star systems while experiencing the limitations you now understand. Was it that?
Nope. That
Nope.
is interesting, though. It's okay. We'll continue forward.
Okay. We'll continue forward. Let's see.
So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the bodies and chakras.
Right, because he was asking about the 7 bodies. And he was asking Ra if he was wrong about how he was stating it.
Yep. Alrighty, so I'm about to pull up a diagram for you guys, and then we're gonna go through it a little bit.
Okay.
And here we go. Alrighty. So as you guys can see here, got this wonderful diagram. And you guys can always look this up on your own at any time. And you guys can find this diagram depicted in many, many different ways all over the internet. And this diagram is showing you the visual of what Ra is explaining right now through this Q&A. And as you can see, you have the 7 chakras, a line down the middle of the body. So those are the centers that they're referencing, the energy centers. And then as you can see around the physical human body are these 7 energy forms or layers. And these are auric bodies or energy bodies. And these are the 7 bodies that is being referenced by Ra currently in this reading. And as you can see, they all have a different color. And that begins with red, to orange, to yellow, to green, blue, indigo, to violet, and vice versa. So these different bodies each represent and basically bring different aspects to our human being. So with that being said, these different aspects are different dimensions of ourself that we experience. So it's a very interesting process as a human being where we have all these parallel bodies or layers of ourself, and they're all coinciding and corresponding at once, parallel with each other. Some of these bodies, you have the astral body, the mental body, the emotional, as well as the etheric, and you have the physical body. Physical body is your most dense form, which means that it is a slower rate of light and vibration, which is the way that it materializes into form, is the slowing down of light. And then your next body from that is your etheric body. You can also call this your light body. And this light body is like your blueprint system. It's almost like your matrix to your physical avatar. And this blueprint system is what connects your DNA. It is what binds your higher light to your physical being. And as we know, when that conscious light is no longer connected to the physical being begins to die away, begins to deteriorate, no longer has life in it. So the chakras, which are part of the energy body, they're like these portals or gateways that allow us to experience the outer layers from the energy body. And those outer layers are your emotional body, your mental body, your astral, and beyond. They're all experienced through your chakras and through your different energy centers. So this is why we do chakra balancing, chakra clearing, so that we can go to the roots and be able to holistically address mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of ourselves when it comes to our healing, balancing, and activation process. Back to you.
Wow, right? These questions as we move through the raw materials, have you noticed these questions are embodying questions? And yes, sometimes the questioner asks the same question in a different manner, and Ra will say, hey, we've gone over that again. We've gone over that already. But let me see if I can readjust, right? Because it's okay to keep asking the question, even in a different format, so that you get the answer that's for your highest and greatest good, that you understand. Anytime you're going within and your higher being is sharing information, whether it's leading you to something on the internet or leading you to ask Siri or picking up a book or leading or reading and or listening to a avid teacher in the sciences or whatnot. It doesn't have to be spiritually. It means that it's information. The divine is saying, I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere and I'm nowhere.
Sandee, I remember.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay.
I knew it'd come back.
Okay.
Okay, so I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but it just came back to me and I did not want to let it just seep away again.
Okay.
So this So glad I remembered, because this is an awesome testimony that I myself have been through. And this deals with, the power of the mind, mentalism, our vibration, and what we were just talking about in this read. And now I remember what it was. You were bringing up how, we can basically like choose mentally the limitation that we're going to put on ourselves, or if there is, a finite reality or a finite time to how something has to be or how long or things of that nature. And one of those things that you can think of is a physical injury. And for myself, I am a living testimony right now in this moment of what we are capable of doing in a quantum mindset. And when I say quantum mindset, I mean a mindset that is open to the possibility of miracles. You're open to the possibility of the power of Source, Christ, being able to change and shift your being into a healed state at a more rapid rate than what we would typically say is the average of human beings. And that's another thing for me is I don't live by averages. And that's a choice. You can choose to compare yourself to quote unquote statistics and averages, or you can choose to compare yourself to nothing and just be your birth self that is just perfect with Source, always shifting and changing and experiencing and having a unique blueprint as well, knowing thyself. This is what resonates with me. This is what resonates with you. So my point here is that 2 weeks ago, now this is just 2 weeks ago, 2 Sundays, not this Sunday that we just had, but 2 Sundays prior, I had a near-death experience. And this near-death experience, it really came out of nowhere for sure. And basically, there was some very high energetic things that I was working with days prior that were my field. And then on top of that, I sat in a hot tub for about 20 minutes. And the heat and the energy of that started working with my energy field as well. And it put me in a position where when I got out of the hot tub, I was in it for a little bit too long. And due to how high, my blood flow and my energy has been, plus on top of that, I ended up taking a couple of steps out of that hot tub, and next thing I know, I whited out and had a near-death experience. So I ended up falling and I fractured a rib. When I fractured this rib, it was in the back. It was a floating rib. And, they say that a fractured rib is at least 3 to 4 months of pain. And then they say it's at least 2 to 3 months of healing fully. So, this is where it gets real. They say it takes 2 to 3 months to heal a fractured rib. So I choose to not believe that as my reality. I choose to not even put a time marker on it at all. I just choose to know that I'm healing the fracture and that's it. And along with that, I do things to support myself. I eat nutrition, vitamins and minerals that will help. On top of that, I'm inviting and opening myself up to my guides, to spiritual healing energy. And then on top of that, I'm using frequencies every day on my good old phone, using the app YouTube. And on top of that, I'm also continuing to stay in the mindset that I am healing. Not that I am healing and this is going to take 2 months for me to be healed, just that I am healing. So, I'm in pain quite a bit, discomfort for maybe about a week. Then that week comes and then the pain starts to very much subside. And then about a week and a half, going into 2 weeks, I'm basically having zero pain whatsoever. No matter if I'm sitting, laying down, standing for long periods, in and out of car, nothing. First week, pain all around. But then after that week and a half, nothing. And then I also had full range motion with no discomfort, no nothing. So now we're at 2 weeks and 3 days. And for the last couple days, this whole week, I have had 0% pain all day and all night. And I have full range motion. I'm back to doing yoga. And I just feel revitalized and healed and uplifted. Guys, we're talking 2 weeks. 2 weeks, fractured rib. They said it'll take at least 3 to 4 weeks of just the pain part. 2 to 3 months to fully heal the fractured rib. But here I am in 2 weeks, pretty much 100%. So the proof's in the pudding. We are in a very, very interchangeable universe. And the more interchangeable that you allow yourself to be, it works right with you. I just wanted to share that, give you guys a little bit of a testimony, the power of mentalism and what we're capable of when we believe in ourselves. Ashe.
Ashe. And for those that you can be where he's at, but you don't have to be where he's at right then. Right? You know this. That you measure yourself by yourself, where you stand at, where you sit at. So if you haven't embodied it yet, but you're trying to get there, you get there when you get there. You can't be Marcus. Marcus is being Marcus. And he's sharing this with you because the infinite possibility of you doing this is possible. Don't look at yourself and go, well, wow, I'm having some kind of thing like this, and I end up having to take a pain pill, a little bit more often than this. It's called growth and expansion. One day the moments that you take growing from a place where you were to a place where you are, from growing from limitation into infinite possibilities of you expanding yourself and becoming the alchemist of your own body, learning how to heal yourself, learning how to find out what the best holistic remedies are for you. I will never tell you can't go and get medical medicine. I will tell you, get it, and while you're taking it, put it in front of you and find out how you can transition from that medicine to something more holistic for you. And then how to hold space for yourself in using the mentalism, and all that is manifestation. It's called growth and expansion. Ra doesn't expect you to do it like that. Ross says, you're in a human body. You got to grow and expand. You're waking up to your higher being. You're waking up from that amnesia. You're not expected to jump right in. It's growth, it's expansion. That's why the questioner is asking all these questioners, and Ra is saying, I'll give you the answer as best we can, but we cannot usurp your free will. In all 3 books, Ra says, I can only answer it as to not usurp your free will. Your free will means free will of humanity. That's what yours means. So every time, if you go to read this and you see Ra correct the questioner, it's only because they cannot usurp the free will of humanity with their answer. I'm learning right now, my next growth and expansion is learning how to merge human medicine, man-made medicine, with my spirituality, my growth, my expansion, the fact that I am the creator. So that people who are waking up and beginning to transcend and become more get to learn to do it without dying before they do. They can't be me. They can't be Marcus. They can't be the gurus yet because they're growing and expanding. So we're here to teach them how to eat better. We're here to teach them how, if they're using this medicine, what can they get holistically that they can move from one to the other efficiently so that they don't die on my watch. That's what I'm going through right now, my growth and my expansion. My going to do my radiation treatments, learning how to utilize my holistic medicine to help offset what's going on, learning all the things, drinking baking soda water to reduce the radiation and eliminate it out of my body while I'm doing this, because I have to experience it in order to share it and expand it with you. I can't talk about what I don't go through. That would not be fair to you. My service is to others. Therefore, I know that the divine is servicing me. My growth and expansion is for the service to others. I already know that my body is healing. It's my growth and expansion, me talking to my body every day, me talking to every pill that I put in my body, me talking to every glass of water that I drink, giving thanks that the glass of water is living water. It carries memory. And I say thank you before I drink it. I give thanks to the meat that I eat because they were the consciousness that came in to be the meat that's on my plate. I know this. They are the vegetables, the fruits, that's consciousness. They came to be part of my experience. This is growth. This is expansion. That's all Ra is talking about. We're the creators. We're the one true creators having an experience being in human form. Infinite possibilities. How do you want to live it? Marcus chose to heal without any time limit. He just chose to heal. He chose not to be a part of the makeup of a set of categories that might possibly work for a few group experiments. He chose to transcend that. You can too. It's about your embodiment. Growing and expanding. And not jumping the gun so that you don't die on our watch. That's not what we're telling you. We're not telling you to give up, go chuck all your things. If you don't have the vibration and the energy and the belief, the believe or live in what you are trying to do, don't leave your medicine before you have enough knowledge to grow, to expand, to become, and to manifest. Right? You are the one true creator. You came here to experience. I came here to experience. That's why now. Why now? Stage 1. Because I came here to experience, to grow and expand, and to serve. For me. Now you have to sit down with whatever you're going through for you and ask those embodying questions. And then be open enough and patient enough and give yourself grace to hear the answer. I am so happy are we not happy that this one true creator is not in pain anymore? That he transcended so that he could teach you how. I'm just saying. Back to you, Marcus. I'm just saying.
And that's the key there is, I've realized at a point in my journey of the living body example that I am. And that's part of service, is knowing that, you're the living body example. And not only is it a personal experience for you when you go through something, but it can also be a collective relation as well. And when we go through these experiences of knowledge, we acquire wisdom within our vessels. And then that wisdom we get to spread around like seeds, and then water as well. And, that's something I always keep in my mind when I'm going through my healing process or going through a alchemization or a transformation, is, keeping in mind, like, what this is, what the potential of this is that I'm moving through, rather than staying just kind of on the surface or stuck on the problem at hand. Instead, I try to see like, okay, so what kind of power can come from this, or what kind of wisdom, or what will I be able to relate to others with from going through this experience? Because I know there's others that have been through something like this as well. And now I get to know what it's like for my own sake and my own being. And, it's just really interesting to to be here right now in this moment where, 2 weeks ago, for my first time ever, I have a major injury. And I have never broken a bone or anything my whole life. So I have no prior awareness of how to heal a broken bone, or like what to look for, or how to properly treat it. And again, 2 weeks. And it's on average to be said 2 to 3 months. And I also like how Sandee was bringing up pharmaceuticals, because I'm actually someone that sees balance within everything. And I've also been shown a little bit, from my own way of perceiving, is that if we get to a certain vibratory field, when it comes to whatever aspect of imbalance it is, then sometimes it's necessary that we use something of that degree in order to help our vibratory field have some type of bridge to get back up. And even for my dad, my dad's an example too, where his vibratory field got to a certain point for a long time, over years, and then it manifested too densely and too thickly into this plane, and it caused certain experiences to happen with his health. And then those experiences resulted into then needing things like pharmaceuticals, which become, the thing that, and I'm grateful for, are keeping his vessel alive in this moment. It's keeping it still livable and obtainable. So yeah, there is a balance when it comes to plant medicines, herbs, pharmaceuticals, energy healing. It's all valid in some type of way, depending upon the degree of where you're at. And for me too, also, I want to say that part of this healing process that I went through, that was able to, what seems like, accelerate it, is that sometimes we may take on that thought form or that belief about the certain length of how long. And the number one thing for me is allowing myself to be present and to know that when we tell ourselves that there is a certain time frame or a time limit, then our being can start to adjust to that, and it'll agree to that. So part of, that self-empowerment is allowing yourself to know that you don't have to have an expectation. That's the thing, is I didn't have an expectation whatsoever. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to quantum heal this, today, or I'm going to quantum heal this as soon as possible. I didn't say anything like that. I just said that it's healing, and I trust that it's going to heal. And with that, that's a demonstration of faith in the divine power, that I'm just giving it up to the divine. The divine will determine for me how long it takes, and I trust that. And I think that's where I want to leave off, just, not having expectations, not having it be like too quickly or a certain amount of length long, but just allowing it to be open to the possibilities of what the divine will sink into you and have flow through you. back to you. Uh-oh, you're on mute.
I'm on mute. I'm a Gemini. I like to talk and I'm on mute, right? Okay. So I'm going to read one more paragraph, then I do have to go. I could talk and read all night long raw, but my dog has other plans. So the questioner asks, I am unsure as to whether this will provide an avenue of questioning that will be fruitful, but I will ask this question since it seems to me that there is a connection here. On the back of the books, Secret of the Great Pyramid, there are several reproductions of Egyptian drawings or works, some showing birds flying over horizontal entities. Could you tell me what this is and if it has any relationship to Ra? Now, I'm not sure of the books that they are referencing because book 3 is new to me. So I'm reading it as you're hearing it. Ra says, I am Ra. These drawings of which you speak are some of many which distort the teaching of our perception of death as the gateway to further experience. This distortion concern those considerations of specific nature as to processes of the so-called dead, and dead is in parentheses, and then it says mind/body/spirit complex. This may be termed in your philosophy the distortion of Gnosticism. That is the belief that one may achieve knowledge and proper position by means of carefully perceived and accentuated movements, concepts, and symbols. In fact, the process of physical death is, as we have described before, one in which there is aid available, and the only need at death is the releasing of the entity from its body by those around it, and the praising of the process by those who grieve. By these means, may the mind, body, spirit, which has experienced death or physical death, be aided, not by the various perceptions of careful and repeated rituals. The questioner says, you spoke at an earlier time of rotational speeds of energy centers. Am I correct in assuming that this is a function of the blockage of the energy center, so that when it is less blocked, the speed of rotation of lighter or is higher and the energy in streaming is greater? I am Ra. You are partially correct. In this first 3 energy centers, a full unblocking of this energy will create speeds of rotation. As the energy develops the higher energy centers, I said energy twice. As the entity develops the higher energy centers, however, these centers will then begin to express their nature by forming crystal structures. This is the higher and more balanced form of activation of energy centers, as the space/time nature of this energy is transmuted to the time time/space nature of regularization and balance. Back to you, Marcus.
What was that last sentence?
The last sentence was, this is the higher and more balanced form of activation of energy centers, as the space/time nature of this energy is transmuted to the time/space nature of regularization and balance.
And it was talking about the energy centers, right?
Yes. I just think it's unique how it went from his question about death or the right into the energy centers. Right?
Oh, okay.
Right? Death is energy. It's energy becoming death. I have to say this. I listened to Dick Van Dyke do answer a question that Dick Van Dyke, I believe he's like 101 or something like that, or embarking on 101. All right, and his son is 74, and someone asked him, how does he feel about that? Because the combination of his age plus his son's age is that's like almost 200 years, or just a little shy of it. And the next question was, well, how do you do this? Do this meaning, it was a nice way of saying, what happens? What do you feel about? How do you feel about dying? And Dick Van Dyke just said, it's energy that's shifted. I won't be in the same form. That's all. And he said, matter of fact, I can't wait for that feeling. I think you used the word feeling, but vibration. It's just a new vibration.
And it's embodiment too.
Yeah. Embodying energy a different way. And when they did this shift, now I understand it. After reading this and this, because it was kind of like, and it made me understand a little bit more. When my mom passed away, she passed away in her sleep. She was in her 70s, right? Which is kind of like we were saying, that's kind of early. But it was a vibration. It was a moment that she had alone. Her heart just stopped. The people said that, oh, she probably didn't feel any pain. She probably just felt a little twinge, but these are energy centers. Even death is an energy center. Wow. Right? Wow. I really don't want to leave it on this what you might think we just took a dive, but I don't think we took a dive. I think they're letting us know that everything that we experience is energy. It's all how we experience it, how we've created it. Our higher beings took these beautiful bodies that we had and said, I get to experience everything that's Sandee, everything that's Marcus. And that was even him having a near-death experience, even him hurting his ribs, even me experience what I'm experiencing right now. But our higher being said, oh yay, I get to experience this. Not a negative, not a woe is me moment, but oh, I get to feel what it's like to be a human being. Oh, I get to feel it. And then when we do move into that energy of death, oh, I get to feel that. It's part of our chakras, that whole chart that he just showed us in the earlier. It's all part of that field. Wow. Makes you look at the energy of death a little bit differently. Doesn't mean go out and jump in front of a car. Man, don't go do that. Okay. It doesn't mean, yeah. It doesn't mean if somebody gives you a diagnosis and tells you you're going to die in 6 months, that you don't have to accept their version of it. Unless you want to. The opt-out key of playing on that playground field is your free will to choose, to create. What do you want to create? You can have other people create for you, but I guarantee you they don't have a feeling of what's for your highest and greatest good. They have a feeling of what's for their highest and greatest good. And they will give you their version of you based on that. Death is a process. It's energy, yes, but we're not telling you to give up the ghost. We're telling you can decide when you want to go. Just like Dick Van Dyke, he says, I'm ready, but I'm still enjoying life. He's still bouncing around. He's still bouncing around and jumping around the best he can and dancing and singing and the whole thing, doing talk shows. And he's 100, 101. I'm just saying. Just like Marcus said, he didn't say when he wanted to heal. He just said, I'm healing. I'm doing it. I'm creating it. I'm the one true creator. And here I go having this experience of being healed. And right now I'm saying I'm the one true creator that's got to go walk her dog. Right. I'm just saying. I could do this all night. I really could. And we could have a 6-hour marathon.
Do it all night tonight. Tonight.
Yes.
So well, that being said, we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Right. Next week, we are going to start with a question about crystal structures. Join us next Wednesday. Is Wednesday, will we be Wednesday, or will that? No, that's not Christmas, is it? I think we got one more Wednesday before we do Christmas, Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure.
Christmas. Let's see. Yeah, Christmas is 14 days. So yeah, it'll be on a Wednesday. Are we doing a Christmas edition?
Can we do a Christmas edition? Can we at
Are we?
least
It's on a Wednesday.
I would like to give at least 45 minutes to an hour.
I would love a Christmas edition. That would be so much fun.
I would. I think Ra would have loved doing Christmas with us.
Absolutely.
You guys tell us how you feel about that.
Bringing in some of that, the Christ rays. Absolutely.
Yeah. Christ consciousness, Yahshua consciousness. I love that. Oh, Starlight says.
Speaking of,
nice.
You're welcome. Oh man, Yeshua. And speaking of, we'll close you guys out. I got a little something for you guys as we say our goodbyes for tonight, or I don't even want to say goodbyes, as we say our wholeness to you and peace and love and beautiful things of abundance that we are a part of and continuing in motion of. And thank you guys for participating tonight in the comments and just listening, being on this journey as we are now in book 3 of Ascending Beyond Limitations, the Raw Material, Law of One. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandee. And I'll let you close out with your finishing words.
I thank you so much for joining us. Book 3. It's already happening. How do you feel?
That's right.
It's about how you feel when you listen to these words, where you take them, how you grow and expand. This is why we're reading it. One size just doesn't fit all. I like one comment. It's about the levels. Like when contentment is reached on one level, the next level comes gently. I wonder. I wonder. Give yourself grace.
Wow.
Give yourself grace. Whew.
What a way to, wow. Thank you. With that being said, everybody, wholeness, imbalanced love.
The screen just went black.